Hey people, welcome back for another episode of the Jagged Edge. This is Ian here, along with Chris.
What's up, everybody?
Hey, what's going on? I don't know if how can we name this week? Earth-shattering week? No.
This week you're gonna want to grab a pen and some paper. You're gonna need to take notes.
It has to do some pretty colossal names, entertainment business, especially big franchise, mainly Disney Star Wars.
Is that a franchise, or is that more just of an overlord at this point?
Like Mordor, Mordor, more like you're saying, more like Mordor Overlord.
This is crazy. This is so much crazy, and it's all basically because of one company. All right, yeah. So seriously though, we're gonna go through a lot, and if you're not up on this news, then we're gonna throw a lot at you. But it's Why don't you go ahead and get started with it, Ian?
Yeah. So a lot of this emerged from this is a company call discussing annual earnings by the Disney CEO Bob Iger. I have that right? Iger.
No, you got that right.
All right, Bob Iger. He really just dropped some pretty heavy bombshells this week. His announcement was that The Last Jedi's writer and director, Rian Johnson, will be developing a new Star Wars trilogy.
It's Rian Johnson, but pretty close.
So, man, the idea is to have Johnson writing and directing the first installment they kick off, and then there'll be an executive producer overseeing the development of the other two movies. The movies are going to take place in, I quote, a corner of the galaxy that Star Wars lore has never before explored.
Yeah. He's getting his own trilogy.
Man. So let's take these two first, or just this one.
Okay, we're just going to talk about that first.
This one piece. I'll roll through the rest of the summarization after. Don't know about you. This is me talking as a more distant Star Wars fan who isn't always up on every bit of lore and everything. With the current series that's going on, with the mainline trilogy, we had the main episodes. It's, of course, something I'm really looking forward to for a December release still. But this is the thing I would expect to hear sort of after all that is settled, calmed down. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just missing out on how Star Wars and stuff normally flows, or this kind of thing really is huge. But no, it's a surprise in that regard because one, we're not even fully through our current trilogy that we're dealing with. Two, these ideas of these additional stories, these continuations. We already talked about the Han Solo movie a lot, and jumping all the way back in the past to explore that. And then we had Rogue One. You have your one-offs, but I mean another trilogy. Like, I don't know how I feel about that, man. I haven't. The current hasn't even set for me yet. I'm leery.
Yeah, I feel as a big Star Wars fan, I feel similar. Just because Rian Johnson, I've not seen a lot of his work. I've seen Looper, although I barely remember it. That's his biggest movie that he's done. He's been director for a lot of TV shows. I think he did some of the what's it called? We talked about this a long time ago with the show with Walter White, the science teacher.
Oh, heck.
Yeah, I know, right? You forget the name right now. That show. Anyways, I'll look that up later. So here's the thing. I haven't seen this movie yet. I haven't seen The Last Jedi yet. So I'm a little apprehensive about this.
Right.
Now, everything looks to be really cool. Everything looks to be really good. And everyone who's in development, who has seen this thing or been part of development, has said that Rian Johnson has had a very unique but appropriate take on Star Wars in general. And they're really saying that this movie is going to stand out, which, by the way, it came out, the movie's going to be about 2 hours, 50 minutes long. It's a long one. It's a hefty piece of film that we're getting here next month. But everyone's saying that it's so awesome, and if you take their word for it, if this is the Star Wars movie that we want and that we've wanted, because some people weren't all that thrilled with The Force Awakens, if The Last Jedi is going to be that awesome, then I guess I'm good with it. But it's just hard for me to get on board with this right now, considering I
Same.
have not even seen his movie yet.
Same.
Now,
Absolutely.
Now that being said, a lot of things that came out, and you've heard Mark Hamill say that he wasn't thrilled with the direction that Rian Johnson was taking his character.
Right.
But his unique take on how to do more mature themes and darker themes is something that a lot of people are really liking for The Last Jedi. But let's talk about the fact that this is said to be in a part of the galaxy that has never been explored.
Yeah.
And of course now they're talking about canon that doesn't talk about legends.
Right.
A lot of people are pointing at this and they're taking it as Rian Johnson is going to be doing an Old Republic trilogy. Which I don't know a lot about the Old Republic. I didn't play the games.
Right.
I know about Bane, Darth Bane, and some others, and I know that it was a time before the Rule of Two, where there was just a Sith Lord and the Apprentice. In fact, I believe the Rule of Two was one of the bigger things to come out of the Old Republic. A lot of it stems around a much darker story of a Jedi who turns to the dark side, then I think turns light again. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff like that. All this stuff is legend. None of that is canon. There's very little out of the Old Republic that's canon now. The Clone Wars TV show touched a little bit on some of that. You've seen Rebels dip into that a little bit. So it is pretty much an open field. If I were to take a guess as to how this went, everybody over at Lucasfilm's just really happy with what Rian Johnson did, and they said, hey, look, these are the kind of Star Wars movies that we're looking to do in the future. Would you be interested in doing any of these? And he probably picked one that's not been touched on much, which would most likely, from the knowledge we have, be an Old Republic trilogy, which would be really cool. There's so many things we could see there. We could see the founding of the Jedi, of the Jedi Order. If you're going in that time frame, we could maybe he's doing what I would love to see. Although this is a little bit more hands-on to some of the things we've seen in the original trilogy, maybe he's doing a Yoda trilogy, which I think would be just the best.
There you go.
He's old enough to take you into that area of time as well. There's a lot of things here. I'm excited for it, I guess.
Yeah.
But I could completely... I think I'm more just excited at the idea that we're going to get a trilogy that's based outside of what has basically been the Skywalker films.
Right.
That sounds cool. And I think after December 15th, I will either be totally just jacked for this, or I'll be like, oh god, 3 more movies.
Make it stop.
Yeah, which is probably going to be the first option of the two.
Right.
But it is cool news to hear that we are going to get a trilogy outside of the main Skywalker saga, or whatever you call it now.
Right. Well, at the very least, we know that Lucasfilm themselves, got a lot of faith in Rian about this, and there's that comment from the president. It's Kathleen Kennedy. She was saying that we all loved working with Rian in Last Jedi. He's a creative force, and watching him craft The Last Jedi from start to finish was one of the great joys of my career. Rian will do amazing things with the blank canvas of this new trilogy.
That's a lot of praise.
A lot.
This is also from the same person who scrapped most of the Han Solo movie and brought in Ron Howard. That same person who made that decision had this to say about another director. So... we've seen Kathleen Kennedy go across the board as far as how she feels with the directors that have been working on Star Wars. At the same time, I know J.J. Abrams initially was butting heads with some people as far as creative direction, but obviously that turned out okay. And then to the point where they're bringing him in for Episode 9. It is interesting to see at this point, though, why Rian Johnson ended up now with Episode 9. Probably taking a break, like what he said, but at the same time had probably already been slated to work on this behemoth project.
Exactly. These kind of things just don't happen in a quiet, closed vacuum out of nowhere, and that's it. They're media, massive scale media undertakings like this are planned well ahead of time. You've got got to set your foundations with the creative team, who's going to be doing what. So yeah, it just shows there's always a lot of gears turning with this stuff.
So what do you want to see though? I mean, let's take away Old Republic or whatever. What in a trilogy, in a Star Wars trilogy, in 3 Star Wars films that obviously are going to have roots and grounding in the Star Wars universe, but with most likely none, if very little, of any of the existing characters that we know of, what would you want to see?
As far as who's at play or what forces are at stake, the balance between the Jedi Order, between the light, between the dark and the Force, the Greys, the sides who represent all those things, those aren't limited to the Skywalker family and the characters we know. I think I've always thought it's pretty cool when you zoom outside of all that and take a look at, who else distantly may have been taking place or taking part in these things. I think of I've always been really interested in Darth Maul's race, for example. I mean, sure, yes, he was a Sith, but in the mainline films were never introduced in mass to his home world, his culture, and everything. I know there was a bit more in the that awesome extra you showed me where he runs into Obi-Wan.
There's the Clone Wars, which was all about that. Introduced his brother,
right?
The sisters. I'm forgetting some of their names right now, but yeah, you got to see his home planet. You got to see a lot of that.
There you go. Stuff like that. If anything, have the familiarity, I think, sort of distant. Maybe a race you may have known about or seen before, but start delving more, I guess, into that. How. Were there people involved? How were their homeworld involved? What does the struggle look like from a distance? I think a perfect example to paint this, when I'm thinking about what I'd love to see, takes me back to the Nintendo 64 days. Do you remember Star Wars Shadows of the Empire?
Oh, yeah. With what's his name?
Yeah, Dash Rendar.
Dash Rendar.
Yeah.
No, I remember that. That's back then, because his story interweaved into a lot of the stuff we saw in the movies, but we never actually saw him and explained a bit of that. Yeah, I remember that. That was fun.
Exactly. A fun ride like that. Okay, cool. It was great to have some of the underpinnings, some of the foundations, the stuff we knew, Luke and gang there, the Millennium Falcon, etc. Even though, of course, he wouldn't go on to be, a major player in the mainline films, but sort of an adventure like that. Heck, you could even just totally do a redux, minus the references to the Skywalker family and everything. An adventure of that scale, I think, would be awesome. In either seeing the Order or seeing what maybe a different side of the Empire looked like elsewhere, even if we're not involved with Imperial decrees and Imperial armies. Really, this whole struggle between keeping the balance of the Force. What does that look like elsewhere? If they could do something that scale, I'd be really interested to tune in.
So you want it to be really Jedi and Sith-esque heavy, lots of lightsabers and stuff about the darkness and the light, and you want to see a lot of things like that.
Yeah, I'll be fair. Even if they don't break out into 5,800 lightsaber battles, that's okay with me. I love exploring the Force and the concept of the balance and the players in that. That's what I'd really dig.
Yeah, that's been one of the bigger questions for me too, which is why I think that this is going to be Old Republic type. I think we are going to see lots of Jedi, lots of Sith.
Right.
I think it's going to be, because that's what a lot of people want to see. We did get a lot of that in the prequel trilogy. Obviously, they only had the rule of 2 at that point. That is something that has been established in canon, is that at some point there wasn't the rule of 2 for the Sith. There were at one point a lot of Sith. I don't remember all the specifics on that. And as far as things before the timeline that we're currently in, they haven't gone into that too much.
Right.
So but at one point there was a lot more than 2 Sith. I've read and watched some things as far as the way things were before all that was established, and kind of how the Jedi and the Sith actually came from one origin of what would end up being Jedi. There's a lot of different things that they could do. I think people would want something very, very Force user heavy.
Right.
I think they would strain a bit if they tried to do something for a character like Dash, whatever his name was. He was like a smuggler, right? He was like Han Solo with a lightsaber.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think he ever came into like Force powers himself. But yeah, he was basically a smuggler. He had a lot of like his own tech, his own rig and his own deal. But that's what actually made him a kind of cool fit in that universe. I really like playing that game because now I couldn't reach over and force grab something or like force choke or bust out a mind trick. I mean, no, he just sort of like he exists here. He's interacting with everything we know, but he's having to use his own tech. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. So I don't think they could keep have the kind of interest in a character like that in a movie trilogy. I think this is going to be very, very Force user heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think we'll start hearing news now. These aren't supposed to start until after 2020, so we're a few years away. Interesting stuff. I hope Rian Johnson's take on Episode 8 is awesome. I hope I'm psyched for this because we're still going to be getting everything else as well.
Yeah.
So, I'm right now. I'm like, let's see what happens next month.
Let's see. Yeah. I mean, really, I think that's fair to say. Mostly everything is contingent upon that right now, and not just the reception, but what we process and then what we're taking away from that second movie.
Yeah.
Now, right alongside all this, there was a Star Wars live action show that got announced.
Yeah, just keep taking notes, people. There's a lot more. We've just scratched the surface.
So
we're just getting into it.
Yeah. So this is supposed to hit on Disney's upcoming streaming service by the end of 2019. If you recall, we've been speaking about this departure Disney took with their IPs from Netflix, really yanking all of them and saying, we're taking our ball and we're going to make our new home, our own home.
Right.
These are some of the first formations of that, really looking at the types of major steps they're doing, more than just lip service. How are they going to be forming this whole thing? So, I mean, right along with that piece, too, again, all this was going to unfold roughly around the end of 2019. But this also puts the Netflix Marvel TV shows up in the air, puts these in question.
Yeah, that's something we talked about a couple months back when we had the last bit of news about this.
Yeah. And, I mean, it's at least been said that Disney's going to start producing their own Marvel shows for the streaming service, and besides The Punisher, which is going to be here next week, Luke Cage Season 2 and Daredevil Season 3, we know those are currently all in development. So, looking at that and just the way Disney's handling all of these IPs, and then I kind of compare that to some other pieces I'd read this week, this is the same company that, while they have all these exclusive shows, all these exclusive offers from the streaming services, they're also turning around and offering fans the chance to actually visit the places physically that they're reading about, that they're seeing. Really, the whole evolution of theme parks.
The Star Wars theme park.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, rolling that right into it, and it's interesting when I think about it from that angle. That this is it's a little broader than just what they want to do with the streaming service, with just having exclusive rights to the shows. Actively turning this into a full-on campaign, something that you don't just go watch in a streaming service, something you can immerse yourself in. Really taking the lore and everything else they're building, with the shows, outside of that, and giving people a way to digest that from all kinds of different takes.
No,
it's a big deal. No, go on.
So let's talk about this live action show for a little bit. So here's what we know as far as Star Wars on TV. Rebels is in its last season. It's kind of funny when everybody was surprised that they announced season 4 of Rebels that was going to be the last season, and when before Rebels was even announced, they announced it was going to be a 4-year show. Right. Everybody was freaking out, and they said they had plans for something after that. Everything was looking like it was going to be another cartoon. A lot of people were hoping that they would take a time era of Luke with his new Jedi temple and tell some stories from that.
Right.
That looks like it was going to be the way it was going to go. Maybe this takes the place of it. Maybe we get another cartoon. Maybe we don't. Now, as far as what we know, as far as Star Wars live action shows, this has been attempted in the past. And no, we're not talking about the Ewok specials or the holiday special. Although that is horrible TV. You need to see those if you haven't. Have you seen those?
No, I haven't. Didn't even know that was a thing.
You haven't even seen the Ewok?
No.
You didn't know there was 2 Ewok movies?
No.
TV movies?
No.
Oh, they're
no.
horrible. They're dreaded. Actually, the first one's not too bad. The second one is complete garbage. But you've seen the holiday special, right? The 1979 holiday special?
That I do remember. That I did see.
I'm sorry, what was it? Oh,
sorry.
God, it's so bad.
Okay.
It's so bad. Now, all that aside, besides that, about a decade ago, a little bit more than that, around when Episode 3 had come out, the actual time frame is a little fuzzy for me. There was discussion of a TV show that was in pre-production. It was going to be based around bounty hunters and the seedy underbelly of Coruscant, and just, you know, the smugglers and gamblers and bounty hunters and stuff like that. Which we've always gotten just touched the surface of that in the Star Wars movies. We were going to get a show based around that, and that there was actually somewhere around 100 episodes that have been written.
Dang.
And so a lot of people are thinking that's what we're going to get. We're going to get some variation of that. A lot of people are thinking that's why they scrapped the Boba Fett movie, which was something that they were seriously leaning towards doing a few years back.
Right.
And that instead we're going to get this. We're going to get some concept of that show.
You know, this takes me back to another event that was announced, I think, by Lucasfilm all the way back in 2005. And I know the whole concept of, I mean, true to honest, Star Wars live action show is something that's been batted around for a long time. This has been kind of elusive for Star Wars. But I know back in 2005, what was it? It was something along the lines of, it was a show at like the Star Wars Celebration 3 convention.
I don't know what you're talking about yet.
So here, while I'm talking about this, I'll see if I can link you. There was a Star Wars convention that basically was saying that this show would be taking place in the underworld city of planet Coruscant. And there were a bunch of writers and artists that were brought in to flesh out the idea, but it got scrapped in 2010. There were big worries about the budget on it, and I promise I'm passing you a link here.
Sounds like we're talking about the same thing.
Yeah, maybe we are.
By the way, Breaking Bad.
That was it. With what? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I can't believe I forgot that. Love that show. It sounds like we're talking about the same thing. Yeah. So that was the big thing, was budget. How do you pull this off?
Right.
You know, in back then, you know, what we were looking at for budgets was how George Lucas, because he still owned it at that point. You know,
right.
Everything was green screened, and you know,
yeah.
I'm glad they didn't do it. As annoyed as I was to hear about it and then find out it just didn't take off, I'm glad they didn't do it. I think they could pull it off now. I mean, now you have Disney money behind it, so
right.
they'll do whatever they want, and they'll probably still make money off of it. But yeah, we are going to get a live action TV show for Star Wars.
Yep.
If it is in that same area, we're talking somewhere around original trilogy time frame. I think it was between episodes 5 and 6 is when that was going to happen. But you know, I think that would be a good place to put it, is somewhere during that original trilogy time frame, maybe right after. I don't know, but live action TV show, it's about time.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about this. You know, it's kind of funny because I think the last time we talked about this Disney streaming service, it was like, well, what would it take to make us buy that? What would it take to get us interested? We didn't even talk about a Star Wars TV show.
No, we didn't.
Not a live action one. But that'll do it.
Yeah, I mean,
that'll do it.
Yeah, and one thing, no matter how I think leery I am about certain aspects of what they're expanding, here I'll be honest. This is one thing I'm thinking is pretty cool. We're seeing in all this. This is bold. This is extremely bold in an era where there's such a high saturation especially in the streaming market and you know, within other models. You don't see a lot of groups really purposely taking really big, bold steps, risky steps like this for good reason. I understand when you have a model in place, there's a lot of risk involved in that. But as you're hitting at Disney money, that counts for something. I mean,
this is the giant mouse mushing whatever it wants to get whatever it wants. I don't know how bold this is. I don't know if bold is the right word. This is more of a bullyish kind of thing to do, really. I don't know if this is bold, and we'll get more into that, because what we're talking about right now is just the Star Wars centric stuff.
Right.
There's a lot more here, folks. I hope you're still taking notes. There's a lot more to go. This is just it for the Star Wars aspect of it. This is the property who early in the year was like, you know what? Let's look into that streaming thing that people are doing.
Yeah.
and instead of going on their own, just like let's attach ourselves to the number one guys and give them a bunch of our stuff and see what happens. Which was smart. Again, I don't think that was necessarily groundbreaking, but it's like here's Civil War, here's Rogue One. Here's a bunch of TV shows. Let's see how that does on your station. Well, it just so happens to be the number one thing on our station, on our streaming service. All right, now give it back.
What do you know?
That's what we wanted. Thank you.
Oh man,
we just wanted to see that.
Thanks.
Pretty much. Now of course, and I looked for a bit while putting this together, and so the biggest question, because it's been said that they will take their Marvel Netflix shows, their Marvel TV shows. They will take them. Now, that being said, I could not find confirmation of that. I did find confirmation that they will start developing their own Marvel shows. It was also brought up that they've got all these other shows out right now. Of course, they own ABC, so they own Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they own Inhumans, like them or not. But there's also Freeform, which I do believe they also own. That was once ABC Family.
Right.
Yeah. So Cloak and Dagger. Let's see. The Runaways is on Hulu, and we'll get to Hulu here in a minute. We're not done with that yet. And then the New Warriors is supposed to, I think, going on Freeform, but I don't think that's actually been locked down yet. So they own most of these.
Right.
They own most of these properties.
Yeah. When you look at a catalog like that, I mean, you've got a war chest to exploit.
Right. Oh, there's so much more. There's so much.
Yeah. So you're talking about there's so much more. I mean, hey, look, if all that's not enough, again, just the Star Wars in, we're also, in the hints at Marvel, we're looking at the TV spin-offs for stuff like Monsters Inc., for stuff like High School Musical.
I wasn't told until those two.
Yeah.
I give zero fucks about
yeah, I figured.
I threw those in those notes as a joke, mainly.
I figured, but still. Oh man,
there you go. Now I think the way we left this off in our last conversation about this is that if this happens and Disney takes their Netflix shows, their Marvel Netflix shows, and takes them, I mean, obviously we're following.
Right.
Now, does that put us one step closer to possibly getting that fabled Kingpin, Punisher, Spider-Man limited series that we were joking about that would never happen? Does that put us one step closer to being able to make that happen? And quite honestly, wouldn't Spider-Man work better as kind of a limited show like that?
Sort of what I mean, just the very structure of Spidey. We mentioned before all the different divisions of that. You know, you have Spectacular, Ultimate, Amazing, 2099.
And he's still owned by Sony, by the way. But
exactly.
I'm pretty sure if Sony was like, all right, are we going to get money? Okay, then do it. I'm pretty sure that's their... Because they can't make money with Spider-Man. They've shown that.
Spider-Man is in a really unique spot where I think both the character and the show have enough flexibility to do that in the environment you put him in. You know, on the one hand, it's not like an ongoing James Bond series where you sort of switch out who Spider-Man is and then the same types of kind of, you know, off-ended stories continue. Because a lot of the times when you have Spider-Man, there's a small reboot in some form or another, or maybe he's a little younger, maybe he's a little older, things like that. But as long as that formula stays in place, Spider-Man is pretty adaptable. It's something you can. It's not that hard to translate. So I don't think he's, you know, as limited as if you tried to transplant something else that's been going on. You know, radical example, if you tried to move something out of the MCU right now, what we're seeing in the movies, like with Thor, for example, into a really weird context, that wouldn't feel right.
By the way, just off the topic real quick, remember during our Thor Ragnarok review when I said it seemed like Thor was doing a parody of himself during the movie?
Right, right.
Comes to find out that actually about 80% of what we saw from Thor in that movie was literally ad-lib stuff, which would make sense then.
It would.
He was a bit too tongue-in-cheek for the God of Thunder.
Yeah, the funniest thing about Thor is he is on that sort of pedestal, that heroic scale, and on purpose. Yeah, there are times when he comes across as like maybe a little overbearing or corny. That's like been Thor. I mean, for goodness sake, they even made a joke about that in MVC3. I think like his taunt is called Mighty Speech, and literally that's what it is. It's this really long taunt where he sits and makes a speech. So if there's anyone convicted about what heroics look like, what heroes are, I mean, it's Thor, for goodness sake. And the fact that Chris Hemsworth takes some time to poke at that says it all.
Yeah, no, I agree, and there was definitely some of that in there, but it seemed like more like he was trying to be a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
Anyways, you can listen to our review of that. But I think for me, ultimately, if this means that we do get one step closer to the TV shows and the movies interacting and playing with each other more, and sharing stories and sharing characters more than vague references and Easter eggs, I'm for this.
Same.
Now, there's a lot into this. We have no idea what the contracts are between Disney and Netflix when it comes to this stuff. That the Netflix Marvel shows were done long before anything else.
Right.
So we don't know what the contracts are with this. We don't know how that ends up. Disney years ago could have planted something in there, and Netflix is like, well, why would they ever do that? Fine, sign it. So we don't know where this is, but I get, I'm for it though, and I'm like, hey, if this gets us one step closer to an interacting Marvel universe that isn't just on the big screen and just on TV and having divided like that, if we're going to see storylines play out in both areas, and have it be quality, sorry Netflix, you will officially get a pink slip from me. You're done. I'm not that much of a BoJack Horseman fan.
No, hey, BoJack.
Which is a good show, by the way.
I haven't checked it out, but just seeing how this stuff, how comic form, where comics have come and where we've taken these characters, I think since taking the run of movies and starting taking the run of shows and what that's been transforming into, it's something really cool. And I guess the sort of destabilizing part of this shows that there's no guarantee that there's going to be a single party in this that reigns king forever. I mean,
no, I have to disagree with you. I think it shows that there will be one king that will reign supreme over all of it.
Not right now.
It's a little mouse.
Yeah. But still, it goes to the whole point I'm saying. With where Netflix is standing right now, and then what we're starting, the type of movie we're seeing from Disney, it's going to be contended, obviously. If you went and, I guess, told me back in 2000, this was going to be what we'd be seeing, the type of, I guess, metamorphosis or like competition between comic stuff. Wow, I don't know. I'd be surprised.
Yeah, I guess I will feel a little bad if at the end of this Netflix is just kind of sitting there like some guy just walked off with his girlfriend. I'm gonna feel a little bad about that. I guess I don't know. I'll be walking with the guy who just took the girl. I'll be like, hey, they've got good parties and beer, so I'm gonna go with them.
I'm going over here.
They're fun people.
Oh man,
I was just hanging out with you because your girlfriend was cool anyway. So,
well, I mean, this is what happens. I mean, now we see who their friends were, right? I mean,
yeah,
can't depend on you. Jeez.
No, you can't. Not if you're taking Daredevil and Punisher.
Yeah.
With them. No. All right, so that's all that.
Yeah.
So I hope you're taking notes still, because there's a whole lot more.
Let's keep rolling. How about the stuff that we do know about, like the negotiations that we did dig in on? Now, there's an important piece to place in all of this, that Disney was, after all, in negotiations with 21st Century Fox. This was sources told CNBC that in early October, Disney actually went and approached 21st Century Fox about acquiring most, if not all, of their assets. The two companies spoke about it for weeks, but the conversations, they just ended up coming to a close. There was no deal on the table. Now,
hold on.
Oh, okay.
A couple things about that real quick. One, we're not supposed to know about this.
Uh-uh.
This was leaked to a source to CNBC, which has then exploded. This came out early this week. We're not supposed to know about this, and I'm pretty sure if I were to guess, somebody from Fox leaked this just to try to jack up the price a bit as far as from what Disney wanted to acquire. Now, a lot of people are like, well, they're not talking anymore. That doesn't mean anything. All right, if we learned anything from the conversations between Marvel and Sony,
right,
those things came and went a lot.
They did,
and then eventually, what we found out from the Sony email hack was that oh god, we learned so many crappy things from that email hack. Remember when I told you one time that they were going to do the Aunt May prequel spy flick?
Oh, it hurts.
Yeah,
don't remind me.
Yeah. All right. So just kind of lay that down. This wasn't just like, hey, this is what's been happening. No, it's like somebody leaked this with intention, but we got to find out about this. This is nuts. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's important to note. So we probably then looking at some of the things that were on the table for discussion. I mean, we're talking National Geographic, FX, Sky, Hulu, Blue Sky, Endemol Shine Group, and of course the 20th Century Fox Movies, TV, Home Video, and Searchlight.
I don't know what some of those are.
Familiar with Searchlight?
What's Searchlight? I don't know that.
I was going to say real quick the Endemol Shine. I have zero idea what that is myself. Did you look into that?
No, I didn't have time.
Okay, no problem. Searchlight. If I recall, this was
Oh, that's like their development, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's usually lower budget movies and such with trying out new discoveries as far as acting and creative crew.
It's sort of like when I hear Searchlight though, I instantly think of like Searchlight Pictures. They're sort of like that the side like producing brand or like producing studio.
What's Blue Sky though?
Blue Sky, you got me there. That one I had to look
Sky
up.
and Blue, I don't know what they are. Obviously, I know what Hulu is, but yeah. So that's a lot of what they were looking to get.
And I mean, just Searchlight alone. I mean, there's actually quite a few credits, smaller movies, and on-screen adaptations, but still, I mean, names nonetheless. Like, I'm just gonna throw a few out there: The Way Back, 12 Years a Slave, The Drop, Bell, okay. Budapest Hotel.
It's their artsy films.
Right.
Okay.
So they've got their own whole side branch for that. Kind of reminds me, when I was in the UK, looking at how not just the BBC, but their service called Sky One distributed their assets and their original series. They had a couple of series that they ran specifically that came on it, like First Wave and a few others like that. But just looking at the way they handle properties, this was kind of neat. Actually, the model, sort of the setup, reminds me a bit of what they had about Fox. But that's neither here nor there. So, the things that apparently weren't on the table for discussion. These involves like the cable stations, like the Fox Network Group, Fox News and Business, and yes. And I don't mean like in yes, as in like I'm about to say
yes
something else.
Something else.
And
I don't know.
Yes,
what yes
something. Yeah,
it was not on there though.
Right. Some of the other things that weren't too specific in the negotiations could have had something to do with the trademark and branding, Fox Sports and Fox TV channels. One of the big theories here is that there's a lot of reasons for waiting to acquire certain parts of Fox, which areas they're interested in. Could very well tell us what the whole plan was, what they're looking at, or just the specific areas they'd want to yank, exactly what they want to target and what they want to do with that. So
yeah, you don't need to read the rest of this out like that. I was just kind of laying down groundwork.
Cool.
Yeah. Sorry. There's a lot of notes.
It's a lot.
I mean, for someone who can't even read, this was really tough.
That's why I'm trying to roll through it conversationally, man.
Basically, look, I mean, as we've been talking about, Disney's putting out a streaming service. There's multiple reasons why they would go to Fox. Obviously, there's an enormous amount of content and IPs that they would acquire from that for their streaming service for TV shows and movies to put on there.
Right.
They would knock Hulu out, which would be a direct competitor of their streaming service. But quite honestly, I'm not going to beat around the bush on this anymore. One of the biggest things that comes out of this, and what a lot of people saw as far as attention for this, is that part of this deal would be Disney acquiring for Marvel the Fantastic Four and X-Men.
Ooh. Yes.
That's I mean, a lot, this is all important, but that's, especially for our usual content, what we usually talk about here on the show, that's really fucking important.
Very. Especially we talk Fantastic Four, man. We're talking anything that could really use a real solid kickstart, man.
That's yeah. I mean, to get these two properties out of their hands and into Marvel's hands would be, and that's actually how I initially heard about this news. But when you start digging into what was going on here, there's a much bigger story to tell.
Oh yeah.
But let's focus on this story for a bit. Let's focus on the fact that Disney actually took aim and attempted to get these back. Because as much as it's about all this other stuff, it's also very much about that. And that's some of the biggest money makers right there. Fantastic Four and X-Men, especially X-Men. I mean, your mind can have a lot of fun thinking about what if they actually acquired this and Marvel got Fantastic Four and X-Men. How would that roll out? You want to talk about exclusive TV shows to be on the Disney streaming service? You can start with the X-Men right there,
right?
And it done right.
Right.
Holy crap!
Kind of a big deal.
Oh my god. I mean, in X-Men, Marvel Studios owned and operated X-Men TV show. I watched an episode of The Gifted again last week.
How'd it sit with you?
It's shit, dude. It's just as shit as the first episode. What I do? I ended up starting cleaning after, because that's what I've been doing when I've been watching The Inhumans. So I was watching. I'm like, this is garbage, and nothing happened. It was 1 hour of nothing except for angst and crappy writing. I'm like, God, I could be watching the CW shows. Dig CW, whatever. But no, it was that angsty though. It was that teenage angst. I'm gonna lash out because I got feels, and it's like, oh my God,
that's where we are.
It's so bad. Although, to add into their usual X-Men confusion, which now you remember everything being said about The Gift was that this was part of the X-Men timeline, right?
Right.
Pick a timeline. There's a couple. Then come to find out that it's actually not.
What?
They're doing that same crap where it's not. There was some incident that happened that made the X-Men and the Brotherhood of Mutants disappear, some July 15th event or something. And it's like, well, but everything, all the stuff before the show came out said this is, in fact, there was advertisements that didn't they even say in the ads, part of the X-Men timeline? Part of the X-Men universe?
Goodness.
But apparently it's not. See, this is the crap that ticks me off. This is why I'm just after Logan, I was like, just bury this stuff.
Yeah.
Just end it and start off with the cool universe that Deadpool has built, and go off from there. It's just whatever. But so let's push that aside. Gifted still sucks. If you hadn't been watching, it's still crap.
All right, I got no reason to tune in.
No, you don't. You really don't. Other than unless you want to see, is it really as bad as he says? It really is. It really is. I don't know why some people are saying it's a decent show. It's not. I still don't know if Inhumans is worse or not. I'm hearing Star Trek's really good though since we've watched it.
No, it's been keeping pretty good pace. Yeah.
Oh, you've been watching it?
No, I haven't. Following it myself, but same as you. Just the general reception, just reviews. I mean, they've been pretty steady.
I plan on binging that, but It's but so that's good. That's good for that. But yeah, I mean, but just can you imagine that though in the Marvel universe? I maybe even have a movie to kick it off, where you start having these mutants emerging, and Professor X shows up and it's like, hey, let's go hang out at this place I got. We'll call it a school, and we'll teach you how to kill people, and we'll give you a big space age jet to fly around in. And, I don't know. That is basically what he does, right?
Teach you how to kill people.
Isn't that what he does?
Ah, no.
I'm sorry. To protect others.
There you go. I was about to say,
others.
you're starting to sound like the Brotherhood or like Magneto's crew. I mean, I'm kind of worried about you.
He teaches them how to protect and defend others by killing other people.
Okay, technically they can already kill people. Their powers.
No, they can just kill them better.
You took the words out of my mouth. No, seriously, you did. That was the next thing I was about to say.
Oh, but no, I mean, it just sounds. I mean, I'm not the biggest X-Men fan, but to see a live action done right and make them young, that's fine. Make them all pre-teens or teens, and then have a show run for 7-8 years, and by the end of it, they're awesome. They're in their 20s and they're kicking ass. Build that up. Isn't that what we want? Isn't that what we've always wanted?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be great? And then Wolverine comes around at some point, and I don't know, do whatever. And although I think about it from time to time, is there an actor out there right now that could do a better job than Hugh Jackman as Wolverine?
Oh, that's rough, man. You know, part of it is because we've got so much road experience with Hugh Jackman now. He's sort of cemented as that. I think there is.
And have him on some stupid field trip in downtown New York, and then they come across Daredevil, who's stopping crime, or
I mean,
Cage, and I mean, how awesome would that be?
Be great. I mean, it depends too, like how old you want to base Logan. I mean, I'm just going to throw a name out here. This won't happen, of course, but someone I think is great who could probably do a cool portrayal. Mr. Brolin. Mr. Brolin, of course, he's going to be Thanos soon, but
oh yeah. Yeah, that would be all right. But yeah, he's already going to be the big bad guy. So
right.
Not to mention he's also something in DC. I think isn't he Steppenwolf?
He might be. That's a good point.
All right, you talk about this stuff for a minute. I'll find out.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, as far as who could actually take that again, Logan's not, I guess, so married to Hugh Jackman that no one else could ever play that role. You could, if you were to reintroduce him or have him in a line like that, as you said, X-Men kind of coming up, growing the role, and then they sort of run across, Wolverine or like others later. Hey,
oh, it's not DC. That's right. God, that's so stupid. I mean, he's Cable.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, so he's already Cable and Thanos. Sorry, your comic book character limit is up. Especially when you're talking about awesome characters like that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But dude, this was a negotiation. This was really close to actually happening.
Yeah.
Not to mention Fantastic Four, which a lot of people are huge fans of too. But I just to bring them in at this point with this crazy established Marvel Galaxy that we've had play out with Thor Ragnarok and Guardians of the Galaxy 2, then insert them into that world.
Man,
it would be so much fun. It's clobbering time. To see the Thing running around in that universe.
This does anybody who's followed comics for any period or who's followed some of these characters, and just when you start thinking about all of this and the scale of what we're talking about, this is the kind of thing that should make your nerd mind do contortions.
My gosh.
The implications are off the chart.
And if the Star Wars stuff wasn't big enough, then there's this, which is right now the biggest thing in movies and pretty much in TV right now, next to a couple other properties. Good God.
Man.
There it is.
Well, I'm full. Like, you gave me enough starch, meat, and potatoes.
It's a lot.
I'm full.
This almost happened, and it might still. They didn't say that these negotiations ended badly. They didn't. They just said they ended. Maybe they ended because they're done, and no one's telling us. Somebody leaked it to somebody at CNBC, but
Yeah.
maybe they don't know the whole story. Maybe they don't know that negotiations were finalized.
Uh, we
All they could tell us is that negotiations happened, and then they're not talking anymore
yeah.
because probably money.
Well, I mean, to be honest, leaks like that, we've seen this a whole lot in our news cycle elsewhere in the political world and everything else. So, with this kind of stuff becoming flavor of the day, so to speak, sure, we might not likely weren't supposed to hear this kind of stuff at all, but is what it is. Shows you the scope of what we're dealing with. Just the types of negotiations on the table. They're not going to sleep anytime soon. So.
So with what we've kind of talked about and what I've kind of framed here as far as what we could end up seeing from a deal like this, do you think that's how things would end up going? Do you think if they were to acquire 21st Century Fox and they were to acquire all these properties, they were to get Fantastic Four and X-Men out of this deal, do you think that really puts us steps closer to a much bigger, better Marvel MCU? And what they would do with these properties and what they would do with these names and these characters. Do you think that's the direction they'd go in?
I believe it would. I actually do believe we'd be aiming for something bigger and better because this points at, in the long run, something that we've talked about all along, even the MCU films: unity. This is something for some franchises we've had to fight for a lot. Spider-Man's a perfect example. We had the deal with Sony, you had the Tobey Maguire films, you had the Garfield films, and now finally with where we sit with Spider-Man: Homecoming, reintroducing him back into the MCU, getting that unity back. That was a fight to get there. But I think the more of this stuff that you get under the same umbrella and that you loosen up all the extra legalities or who has the rights or who's holding the franchise or who holds, you get rid of some of those shackles and you can create bigger and bigger and bigger stories. I mean, Maybe someday that'll go off course, but I think as we've seen that unfold for big screen productions, the stuff with MCU, it's been awesome. I'm very happy that Cap, Thor, Iron Man, Avengers, Hulk, everybody, Spidey, Thanos, they're all there. They're all in that bucket, and I think when you at least have creative room to do that, that's when you're going to have awesome potential, a really great multimedia suite of stuff.
So do you think we do end up if they acquire it, which I guess there's at least they haven't yet, or they haven't announced that they have yet. And I mean, do you think that we get in the future Avengers versus X-Men?
Oh man,
years down the line,
would it come down to that? If they got the body of properties to do it, sure, wouldn't be surprised at all.
Fantastic Four versus Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh man.
Hulk versus Thing.
we're gonna be bringing back all the side paneled comic discussions of years of yore.
Let me just drop one more name on you, Galactus.
Here we go. If you're gonna be mentioning Fantastic Four though, and then Surfer and everybody, you're gonna have to have Galactus in the mix somewhere. So, yeah,
Galactus versus Hulk. I mean, for God's sakes,
love it.
It's crazy. A legitimate Old Man Logan movie, which Logan was great, but to get in a legitimate Old Man Logan movie would be, I mean, it's really close. It's really close to reality. It's not there. They don't have it. We haven't been told we're going to get those kind of things.
Right.
But I mean, to see it come this close, and to see the kind of moves that Disney's been making this week, good God.
Well.
I mean, these are things when we were kids that was like, oh, that'd be so cool.
Yeah.
And but even then better.
Right.
But to see it become this close to reality, that's crazy.
Even stuff we daydreamed about happening in gaming is happening now. We used to. I remember when I was coming up in like elementary school or like early middle school, we go to the arcades. Some of my buddies and we'd always talk about, oh man, that'd be sick. Like if you saw this character in this crossover, or if that happened, like. I think at the time, X-Men versus Street Fighter was like the main crossover in arcades, and it was a big deal. The very concept of crossovers, even in gaming, or between like Marvel and Street Fighter characters, that like broke our mind. Mm-hmm. So we started to talk about, oh man, well, what if you saw like Mega Man X like appear? It's like, oh, that would never happen. It would. And now I look today at where we are with the Marvel versus Capcom Infinite, and there's Zero, and there's X, and it's happened. So
yeah, to have said X-Men TV show and guest starring Captain America
Yep.
for an episode.
there you go.
That's crazy. We're close. Maybe. It seems.
Do we? So what do we nickname this? Do we say comic singularity?
I think singularity is the word. You know, I gotta wonder though, how many times over at Marvel Studios they must bitch and moan about the deals that Marvel had to make in the early 2000s to try to save their ass that put them in this position to begin with. Thanks a lot, Stan Lee. Now go do your cameo that you get to do in all the movies and all the different, be it X-Men or Avengers or whatever. Only you get to be a part of everything.
Yep.
Which is legitimately in every deal that he's made in the past, was that he gets to make a cameo in all of these movies.
I love it.
Anyways, we can dream, and dreams that a long time ago I stopped dreaming about because it looked impossible. I mean, you look at the landscape 10, 15 years ago, this was just not even a thing at all. I mean, you knew it. You knew they were divided. I mean, even back then, if you saw a superhero movie, you were lucky if you even got the one superhero the way that he should be from the comics.
Right. Right.
You do some watered-down generic version, Spider-Man 3.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Wicked.
Yeah.
Wicked.
All right, so we got a little bit more news, a little bit more comic book movie news stuff, but this was pretty cool. Just wanted to point out a couple things. Black Panther posters came out, I think, 9 or 10 of them?
Yeah.
Like
had a whole cascade these, and this is pretty sweet. I mean, you get everyone from what was it, Whitaker? Named the fella.
Oh, Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I have that right, the fella who, if I'm thinking of characters right, he was involved in the vibranium research and lost his arm.
Oh God, what's his name?
Yeah, I know I'm butchering. Off the bat,
I don't remember his. Oh, no, keep going on something else. I'll think about it.
What we have here is really just like a cascading look at our cast of who's going to be involved. There's just these small little vignettes of each character alongside the Black Panther release. Just for example, her son's survival, her king's love, her brother's keeper, her nation's honor, his enemy's revenge. All of these things tying into the role that, or the different types of challenges Black Panther himself is going to be facing.
Right.
So,
yeah, they look pretty badass.
They do.
Except for the two, Andy Serkis's character, who I don't have his name down here, but he's the one with the prosthetic arm. That looks really weird. How he's just kind of looking there like, look at my arm.
Right.
That's kind of weird. Then you got what's his name in the suit there, Martin Freeman. I don't remember his character's name. That's the actor, and he's sitting there in the suit, and he looks completely out of place. Everybody else looks badass.
Yeah,
with all these cool suits, be them the heroes or the villains, just looking awesome. And then it's like, I've got a tux. Yeah, you belong in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I'm pretty sure.
I'm needless to say, I'm still really excited about this one. This is going to be now. Is this right? Is this the last one we're going to get before Avengers, or right before the last?
No, it's Black Panther in February, and then it's Avengers 3.
This is it.
In May, yep, that's it. And I don't think we're going to see a heck of a lot. I don't know. Maybe some really good after credit scenes, but this looks like it's telling its own story. It doesn't look like it's going to be delving into the greater MCU all that much. So.
Yeah, I'm really interested in the way they're going to blend this whole technological blend. We know that Black Panther's nation is already highly advanced, even though they've been really hidden away from most of the rest of civilization. But it's difficult to see how, especially the research that's been done in the wake of the New York invasion, with so much alien tech around, how that will or how that won't play into things. This really, from what we've seen from trailers, seems like more of a coming about story, not as much just Black Panther's own history, seeing everything that's happening within his nation, but now how they're dealing with the rest of the world at large. I don't think they realize they can afford not to be secluded any longer. We'll see.
I mean, it's interesting. I think what we'll probably get is we'll probably get some after credit scenes leading up to Infinity War. Interesting enough, though, I don't see. I can't remember the actor's name right now, but I've seen nothing here for the Winter Soldier, who is currently in Wakanda, in hibernation, missing his robotic arm.
Right.
Now he is slated to be in Infinity War, so that's interesting.
Cool. We'll see.
I'm
Questions?
grabbing his name here. I'm grabbing his name.
Yeah.
Where is it? Where is it? Oh my gosh.
You'll find
I
it.
suck. I suck. Yeah. All right. You
It's
keep
good.
going.
Well, besides
I'll
we
just
have
blurt it out.
no, yeah, no, throw it out there. Besides we have Black Panther, there's a really funny Deadpool one off just about Thanksgiving dinner, and then also a little magazine cover about about holiday recipes, and just with this is Deadpool true to form. Both of these were absolutely hilarious. Great posters, again, advertising Deadpool
Sebastian
2.
Stan.
There you go.
I can read.
It did it.
Yeah, no, but yeah, that Deadpool stuff was hilarious. The Thanksgiving poster it's funny. It's all right, but the Good Housekeeping thing,
That's the best.
that is so awesome. That is legit. I'm going to be in the doctor's office a couple months from now, and I'm going to see an old lady reading Good Housekeeping with Deadpool on the cover, and I'm going to take a picture of that. Reading the recipe for D's sliced nuts.
I was just about to comment on that. How could you not want to pick that up? Come on.
Oh, how could you not want to pick up D's nuts? I know. I know. I ask people that all the time.
What kind of answer you get?
Oh, it varies.
Okay.
It varies. Most of the time, they're like, "You're right," and then they do. It almost seemed like you set me up for that, but you didn't. I ran with it.
I like it.
That's cool. I remember a couple years ago, the advertising for Deadpool was hilarious leading up to the movie. So I'm looking forward to this. We're still not going to get that movie until June, but still, if this is how they're kicking it off, I can't wait to see what they do.
Way to go. Sweet. All right. Well, in our gaming side of things, which wasn't as quite as involved the last couple weeks, but we have still had an important release or so, and just some news that's come out. The biggest story here, I think, is the Xbox One X reviews, and I'm still getting used to that tongue tie of a name. Gosh, I'm going to struggle with that.
That's all right. I don't think you're going to have to say it much.
All right. Good.
It's horrible of me, but it's true.
If you missed the boat on this, the Xbox One X got released last week. The reviews are coming in are pretty unanimous about it. As far as the games themselves, looking a little better, a little upscaled, at least those that are supported, and they also run a little smoother. I think for most companies or most reviews, the Xbox One X ran a little better than the PS4 Pro. Loading's a little quicker, although that's, I think, about how fast this thing usually gets advertised. It's a little embellished. I think the vast majority, most of the games at least, TVs, they don't currently support what all the system can do graphically. I'm cool with that, frankly. You know, the whole movement we're at today towards, 4K, Super HD and everything. Look, I'm good. Look, 720, the 1080 stuff, give me an HDMI cable, whatever, I'm fine. I don't need 3D in my face, surrounding my head at all times. That's fine. You can leave that in the bench. Other than that, the system's pretty much getting recommended for people who are hardcore console gamers who can take full advantage of what it has to offer and the power of it. I'm not a huge Xbox head myself. I was talking a little bit with you, Chris, before the show. I always have fun talking to my dad about this stuff. He is an Xbox head. I traditionally in our home, coming up, I've been kind of the Sony guy. I was the one that suggested get into PlayStation and everything, and he was just off his rocker when Microsoft announced they were doing, the first Xbox. I do not plan on picking up one of these myself. I doubt you do. You will either.
No. Why? Why should I? Everything they come out with comes out on PC.
'Cause for Anthem. Wait, never mind.
Yeah. There's no reason to. I have a much more powerful system to play every game they have.
Enough said. Ditto.
You know, so I was doing research on this, and one of the things I actually, because all the reviews kept on saying, hey, yeah, if you have a TV that can support this, if you have a TV that can support this, if your TV can support everything this system can do, then you should definitely get one. So, I mean, of course, the question came up, how many freaking TVs out there actually do support this? Because that's, you keep hearing this so much. Come to find out, general consensus is that 16% of American homes have 4K HD are capable TVs. 16%. That's not 16% of gamers. That's just 16% of American homes on average. Okay, so now if you're getting high tech stuff like that, you are much more likely to want to get a console. Maybe,
right?
Maybe I don't. The most of these could just be for theater use, home theater use.
Right.
I guess I don't mean to pick up the bat and beat the dead horse a little bit more on this. This just seems dumb. The PS. This is $500. I guess if they're going to come out with it now would be the time, considering the holidays. The PS4 Pro is marginally weaker. That's true. This thing is the most powerful console out there. I can't say it's the best bang for your buck though, because a lot of this technology isn't supported yet because it's just not. It's too expensive.
Yeah, and we're sort of at that point, late console generation, like mega optimization. It's kind of wild though the way we do that today. Like you said, it's to the point where it's so tweaked, it's so over rev that you often don't have a display that can even follow along with this stuff commonly. So
it's like it feels like they're trying to build this really awesome sports car that's going to be sought after because it's a really awesome sports car, except for it's not all that sought after.
No, well said.
I mean, with where PC gaming is, with where Xbox is in the current generation of consoles, if they were number one and like doing even better than what Sony is currently doing against Microsoft, then I would say this is groundbreaking, trending stuff.
Right.
But there's just not the desire for it. I mean, that's just the whole thing. There's just not the call for it, which is why I for the most part, I just don't understand it. We're a little uncertain. The industry is a little uncertain as far as where things are going to go for the next generation of consoles. Microsoft was quoted saying that they may not even come out with another generation. They may just continue to build off of the generation that they have. I mean, the future is going to tell on this one. But for where Microsoft is, I just kind of get the feeling of, why'd you do this? Really, that's where I seem like, all right, but why?
Yeah, I ain't the one to ask.
I'm not expecting you to have
no.
That's just kind of where I sit. I'm just like, wait, all right, cool, good on you. You're making money with this? How? I mean, they're going to be lucky, and I'm going to look this up when 2017 has come and gone. The sales on this thing, I would be surprised if they go over 4 figures.
Same.
I just don't. This one's confusing to me. I don't understand the thought process behind this.
No.
Yeah, I mean, who are you gearing this towards? Are you gearing this towards kids? How many kids do you think have a 4K HDR TV in their bedroom,
or even the full know-how to draw out the full power of this system? It's sort of a non-argument, and really just testing the bounds of the max they can do, getting that competition with the nearest rival competitor, that is Sony. Hey, look, we have specs higher than the PS4 Pro. Here's our answer to PS4 Pro. Sort of that knee-jerk, reaction.
I had a more powerful system for gaming in my home 10 years ago. It was called my computer.
There you have it.
And I mean, that's not really a thing anymore. It's not quite, 15 years ago when it came to consoles that mattered. It doesn't really matter now that PCs reemerged as depending on who you talk to, the dominant force for gaming. But no one contests that it's not a force anymore in the. It's definitely something that's talked about with gaming now. So I don't know. Right. I mean, good on them. It's getting good reviews. Although the biggest complaint I'm hearing is that, well, two. One, the technology just doesn't really support this thing yet, and two, hey, your loading times just aren't quite as good as what you said they were going to be.
Right.
Besides that, put that aside. A lot of developers aren't supporting this yet, and they're not sure who's going to. This could end up being $500 worth of awesome system that just won't be used.
Right.
And if that's the case, then everyone who bought one of these things who has to budget is going to be pretty upset.
There you go.
But hey, that being said, a year from now, 2 years from now, we might be saying, "Wow, remember when we questioned the Xbox One X coming out?" And now that TVs have gotten cheaper and all the games are using all this, they're using all the tech now. And wow, man, they looked ahead and they made a move that was bold, and they came out on top.
Yep.
Maybe that's what we say a couple years from now.
Could be. We can't cast the dice on all this stuff yet.
I don't think so.
Could be. No, trends.
Could be.
Trends are weird, at least the way things work. But honestly, even acknowledging that possibility, it's difficult to see that we're just that graphically obsessed that this would be the main issue gamers are talking about instead.
It's just not. It's not like that anymore.
No, we want. I've always said this. I've always been a proponent of this. Give me solid gameplay. Give me an amazing game. Give me a well-told, creative, thought-out story, and your vision of what you want players to experience. I'm there. I don't care if it's not 4K or if it doesn't hit some graphical threshold. I could care less. There's 2D games I play that are more involved in some of this other stuff. So whatevs.
Now, if this thing was priced at $300, then we would be talking about something different.
Right.
Now, if this thing was sitting next to the Xbox One S as like $100 more expensive, and parents or anybody was looking at these things on a shelf and trying to decide, it's like, well, this does have so much more, and it's only $100 more. Then you're talking about maybe a different conversation. But this thing's starting at $500 right now.
Right.
And I seriously doubt that they're going to bring it down in price for Christmas. That's the price.
Yeah. So,
yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's still a beautiful system. I have absolutely no reason to buy it. But
yeah,
that sounds kind of horrible. Like, this thing's great. I'm not touching it.
I ain't touching it. But doesn't this sound oddly familiar to the Switch conversation?
Yeah, which apparently is going to get all kinds of nudes now. So.
Oh man!
Which we got to talk about. That's one piece that keeps on getting pushed back, which is that maybe I'm a bit wrong on the Switch. That seems to be getting a lot of. That seems to be getting a lot
some
of
traction, man.
It is
saying.
It is.
I know.
I can't understand why.
From the reception I saw at PAX South that it got, just what the booth was drawing, how much people wanted to actually jump in and play what was there.
Maybe it's because it's the first time they ever saw one in person. Although I was at Target the other day and there was nothing but Switches there.
Yeah, man. I mean, especially the thing about cons, a lot of people, especially who go to panels or setups, I mean, part of it is, oh man, this is my first time seeing this. I've heard about it, but a lot of the times, like just from my experiences, it doesn't cover everything I know. But a lot of times when I'm just sitting talking to somebody next to me or like in the crowd, they've done a fair bit of homework on this already, or they've been pretty amped about it, or they really want to get their hands on it. So it's you have your mix of first comers and also just hardcore enthusiasts. Hey, Nintendo's still got that, man. They've still got that a hardcore base. So yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is for sure.
I'll tell you what doesn't have his hardcore base. I found really weird. This is a different studio announcement from Warner Brothers of all things. Warner Brothers is opening up another gaming studio called Portkey Games. That is going to be specifically dedicated to the Harry Potter franchise.
Yeah.
This is one of those things I looked at and I said, okay, This is either some people are going to treat this as about time or completely wasted effort. Pretty important to know that some of the Pokemon Go team and the devs in the same group that worked on the mobile is going to be involved in these projects too. I have no idea what type of games they're looking to make or do. I was never invested in the Harry Potter series myself. Again, and we're going back to what we were saying about Xbox. Interesting development. Whatever they come out with, I don't see myself playing it though.
No, I missed the whole Harry Potter thing. I've told the story before, and my ex-girlfriend, who was a huge fan, tried to get me to watch it. I fell asleep halfway through the first one, and that never ended. So, I hear they're great. I've got nothing bad to say about them. This one missed me. This is kind of like Magic the Gathering as well. It's like this whole trend, and like Pokemon.
Right.
This whole thing just went right by me. I looked at it. I'm like, all right, well, that looks okay, but that's, I got other things going on over here. I'm killing something on a game or watching somebody kill something in a movie. That's more interesting to me. So, lots of death. Death. I'm kind of morbid. Whatever. People die in Harry Potter too, right?
Oh yeah.
All right then. So I didn't. All right.
Especially Dumbledore.
Oh, I hear that's a thing. I hear that phrase all the time. Whatever. I mean, we talked about this before the show, looking over the notes. I mean, there's going to be another film. They're gonna make that last story. They're doing the monsters. What I call that? Careful your monsters and some shit.
Right.
Like that.
Right.
Keep your monsters locked up in your bed. I don't know. Whatever the hell it is. Those prequel movies.
Sure. Fantastic Strange Beast, something like that.
Strange Beast in your pants.
You need to get that checked.
I went lowbrow. I went real lowbrow on this one.
When they go low, we go lower.
But
all right.
Yeah. No, Warner Brothers, they already have Warner Brother Games. They already have NetherRealm Studios. NetherRealm Studios, of course, is bringing nothing but money in, hand over fist. Sure. I got nothing. I thought the whole Harry Potter thing, besides this prequel series that they're doing right now, was kind of a done thing until the upcoming movie for the final story. Sure. All right. Go for it.
There you have it. Well, you know what I'm about to go for? It's time for an Info Minute. This week's Info Minute, if you've been looking forward to Iron Man, like an Iron Man suit, like straight up, real life, this is a step in the right direction. Something really important happened this week. We had a Guinness Book World record broken. That record broken was for the world record for the fastest speed with a man in a jet engine suit. The founder and chief test pilot of Gravity Industries, his name is Richard Browning. He reached a speed of over 32 miles an hour on his third and final timed effort over a lake in Reading, England. This is a custom suit that he's designed from the ground up. Honestly, a project that literally started with him and his team messing with air displacement, with turbines, with engine power, and really just sort of poked and played along with this thing until, well, he achieved flight. He's zipping over a lake. This is great. This was just fun. This was awesome, and this again happened just a couple of days ago, and pretty sweet. Actually, just pretty funny and surreal to actually be looking at. But a lot of testing, a lot involved. Richard himself is trying to take the company and really get pretty ambitious with it. Eventually, to open this up commercially more instead of having it be just a sort of niche project that or a single venture. Hopefully, make this something more public. I doubt this will be your next SpaceX that you're looking at, but we're one step closer to Unibeams and Repulsor Blast. Who knows?
This looks awesome. I want one. I'm looking at this. This guy's awesome.
Yeah, he is.
Now, did you say 300 miles an hour?
No. 32. A little over 32 miles an hour. 32.
That's a little different.
300 would be terrifying.
Okay, there it is. I see this.
Yeah.
Wow. I want one. Man, I see myself trying to light my cigarette with that.
There was a good TED Talks for those of you who tune into that. Check it out. Richard actually did a full segment sort of talking about the beginning phases, the test phases, the implementation of this, sort of how they built it, where he's at now, and where they want to go with their vision for this. And, of course, talked a bit about his record-breaking run. So, again, check that out on TED Talks. You can also find this over in Business Insider, about almost anywhere. This blew up pretty fast within the last couple of days. So, yeah.
It's just this comment right here. The Iron Man suit is made up of 6 kerosene-fueled micro gas turbines, which each have 22 kilograms of thrust. That's just a whole lot of science. I just, I could have been reading something out of Harry Potter for all I knew reading that. That's crazy. Wow. are they looking at this to eventually get into the consumer hands? I would think not.
Probably not that type of mass development for, let's go on Amazon and order a suit. No. If anything, this is likely going to be a property of his company that he founded. If this does open to the wider public, I could see it more for like a
military.
Military, or even like some kind of specialty event. Yeah, I know he talked about they want to get involved in like, I guess the next big project is they want a couple more pilots, and to get involved in like a multi-suit flight project, like doing an intercept or like handing off like an object or something like that. So it's not stopping here.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Richard Browning, follow him, pretty cool. I didn't even know about any of this or his company until I saw this. So,
wow, I wonder how many times something like this like blew up. Is that bad of me?
No, it's not. I mean, it's part of what goes into stuff like this.
There's one guy who works in the office. He's all he's got all burned up and stuff. He's like, what's his story? Never mind him.
Well,
he works at desk now. Don't worry about him.
Besides some falls and scrapes and everything, you know what? I think where we have evidence of, even now that the test phase is relatively intact. I mean, the founder himself, like Richard. I mean, he's the guy who's been testing this. Like, he has been the primary guy behind the suit.
Well, that's good. Hey, all right. I can, you got to appreciate that. He's putting himself at risk.
He is.
All right. That's awesome. All right. Good on you, Browning.
Right on.
Doing a heck of a job.
Sweet.
Let's see how many people catch that reference. Probably no one. Doing a heck of a job there, Brownie.
Would have been him.
All right.
That's
it.
That's it. That's going to do it for us. Get ready to tune in soon. We got a lot upcoming. Of course, Justice League is down the road. We've got some reviews coming up, of course, for Punisher, Netflix, and our regular show as always. So stay tuned, stay locked in here, and hey, by all means, thanks for listening. Enjoy, people.
See you next week.
Hey people, thank you for tuning into this episode and taking a listen. If you like our content, if you like what you're listening to, there anything to go over, hey, please, we would not only love to hear more from you, but if great, if you could throw some support, you can subscribe right below. Also, you can toss us a line anytime. That's ksongmedia@gmail.com. Of course, you can tune in for our channel anytime for movie reviews, game reviews, a lot of random wacky stuff. Who knows what you'll hear. And of course, our episode each week where we're bringing the nerdiest things we can find, dig up, and maybe not find. Maybe the stuff that just drops in our laps. But anyway, hey, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening. We hope to hear from you again later. Take care.